Hi, George M1GEO here. Just looking at the last part of my full RAE course, Radiometers exam notes, a calculator guide rather. A couple of questions, or a question that I've been asked a couple of times rather, is how do you convert from decibel watts, this dBW that we use quite a bit, back to linear watt units, to standard sort of RF watts that we tend to talk about. So most people tend to be happy with this 10 log 10 conversion, the way you convert from watts to these decibel watts. They can manipulate them, add them together to work out ERP, that kind of thing. But the trouble tends to arise when you want to convert back from this dBW, decibel watts, back to linear watt units again. So have a quick look at doing that today. So the example back here, we arrive at an ERP, effective radiated power. Example goes through and you end up with 23.85 watts, and we want to convert that back to watt units. So I'll show you how I do that and give you a bit of a rundown, and then we'll go for a couple of examples. So let's flick over to Windows, clear my calculator, shove that over here for a minute, and grab this back, which I'll use to make a few notes on. So okay, right, so most people are happy with it, with this 10 log 10 and a value in watts here. So you can, if I told you 35 watts, you can do 10 log 10 of this watt. So what we need to do when we come back the other way is, if I say to you, for example, we have this value we talked about before, which is 23.85 dBW, decibel watts. How do I convert that back to this watts again, just standard watts? And we have to basically do the reverse of that. So the 10 log, we start with, to reverse that, we start with a 10, and we have to take it to the power. We have to, you see, like powers of 2 for squared and cubed. We're going to take it to a pretty weird power. We're going to take it to this value of dBW. So our dBW value divided by 10, and the divide by 10 comes from this 10 log here, this big 10 in front. So divide that by 10, and then reverse this bit, take 10 to the power of dBW. So it doesn't really matter. It's really easy to do on the calculator. It's not a problem. And so this is what we're going to do. Okay, so we start with the value of 0.85 dBW, and we want to convert that back into watts. Okay, so what do we do? Start with 10. The power in dBW is 23.85. We divide that by 10. Okay, if we calculate that on the calculator, it will give us the value in watts. And we had before a value, I think from memory, approximately 242. That's the kind of value I think we had before. So that's what I say in the end of the guide, and just to try and check that. So how do we do it? Getting the 10 inch pretty easy. We type 10, number 10. Okay, next we were looking at a power. So the power part is this button here. This button here says X with a little bit next to it. So we press that one, and you can see it's kind of lifted that up a bit to indicate power. We're going to put in a fraction, so we're going to put one number over another. So we put in the fraction button, press the fraction key. We've now got the power, but it's now got two parts to it. So that looks quite like what we've got now. We've got empty boxes. So we're going to type our dBW, our decibel watt value, into the top part, 23.85. Press the down arrow here to get to the bottom part, divided by 10. Okay, if we press equals on here, we get a value that we expected to get, 242.66, I believe. Let's just check that. Yeah, 242.66. Okay, so that's the answer that we were expecting. Okay, let's start a new sheet. I'll save that scribble. You're probably familiar with the 50 watt intermediate power. That's my scroll now. Ofcom don't say 50 watt. What they say is plus 17 dBW. And from here, we get our 50 watt. So what we actually do here, 10 to the power of 17 divided by 10. Same layout as before, 17 dBW. So we've got this part comes in here. We're going to calculate that, and hopefully this whole result and give us that bit. Okay, so let's give that a go. Put the calculator somewhat in the middle and clear the last calculation off. Again, 10 to the power of the fraction 17 divided by 10. And the answer we get is 50.11 watts, okay, which is the maximum power the intermediate licensee is allowed to transmit legally. Okay, so that's where this comes from. 17 dBW converts to 51.11 watts, and colloquially we just say 50 watts. The other example, if we look at the full licensee, which hopefully you'll be soon, you're given a value by Ofcom of plus 26 dBW. And everybody knows roundabout that that's approximately 400 watts. Okay, right. How do we get from 400 watts? Sorry, from the 26 dBW to the 400 watts. The same again. 10, 26 divided by 10 as a power, and if we do that, we'll get the answer we expect. So clear the calculator again. Type in the 10 to the power with a fraction. That's 26 on the top and 10 on the bottom. 398.1. 398.1. Oops, it's gone off the screen there slightly. Watts, and everybody just says 400. Okay, that's the basics of it. Hopefully that's giving you a bit of an idea how to use the calculator. As I say, really not too difficult. Just enter 10 as a power fraction. The dBW goes in the top part, so the number of decibel watts. This number here, 26 in this example in the background. So this number here, top part, and it's always this number is always a 10, and that number is always a 10. So these two numbers, this one and this one here, are always the same, and it's only this top half here that we have to convert. So this one here changes between 26, for example, or 17 for the intermediate, or as we saw earlier on, 23.85 here. Whatever it is, but these two numbers, the 10 here and this 10 are the same. So it's just 10 divided by the decibel watts, 10 to the power of the decibel watts divided by 10, and gives us a value of about 242 as before. Okay, hopefully that's helpful to you. Very best 7.3s. Hopefully you get on with the license okay. It's been George, M1GAO. Cheers.